I don't know if it's ready for you to come back. Tell you what, I've heard nothing but people been like, would you do come back? This is how I bar you.
Shut up. You're being weird.
What's up, my know-it-alls? Welcome to our very first Doctor Who. We have been waiting for almost 2 years for this.
Yes.
Since they first announced that there was going to be a new series coming out after obviously, well, there's always going to be a series. But you know what I'm saying. And we were waiting for the 16th anniversary, which was amazing. We, of course, reviewed
so much fun with that.
If you want to see the first episode of the season, I'll put a little title card over here. You can go ahead and click on that one. And actually, at the very end of the video, I'll put a card there as well, so you can kind of really start our reviews from the beginning. Because we're starting with episode 2.
Yes.
I didn't realize that The Church on Libby Road was episode 1.
I feel like we knew it.
Yeah.
Forgot about it. So when we saw it, we're like, what? And they were like, yeah.
You're also going to notice there was no cold open in this episode because there was no cold open in this episode. So I jumped right in. So that's why you guys got my intro at the top, is because that's how they opened this episode.
That is.
Which I thought was so much fun. And there was and also an extra piece of the opening, if you noticed. It transitioned into them. There was this amazing transition that they did.
A good, I would say maybe 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd say maybe a minute. I give it a minute.
No.
I give it a minute. You have no idea. We've been waiting for this.
No, for sure.
Wow.
And of course, it's also a happy graduation to Baby Know-It-All. We're taking graduation pictures today. So I zip home and get home right at like 7:01. We're to jump in with everybody else and start watching this thing. Also, I want to say, because it's the weekend, it's Happy Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day to you. Mrs. Know-It-All, another Baby Know-It-All, and the love of my life. Also, happy Mother's Day to both my mother, Mama Know-It-All, and also very special Happy Mother's Day to Grandma Know-It-All. Te amo mucho, abuela. I love you. So, without further ado, let's talk about the episode.
Yes.
The second episode is literally called
Space Baby.
Space Baby.
And it's Mother's Day weekend.
I know. I have a feeling that
They did that
on purpose. Absolutely. So this is our real first outing. It's funny, they almost stole away because they used the 60th to give us a Christmas episode, which I'm so happy about. I was really disappointed when we were doing New Year's episodes instead of Christmas episodes, because I started Christmas episodes with Eccleston and moved through all of them. But now here we are. If you're in the US, it's season 1 of the new era. If you are not everywhere else in the world, much like the metric system, it's series 14 of the 2005 reboot of Doctor Who. So I'm very interested in that. So Ruby, in the original preview for this, for the season 1 preview, they showed us that moment with the butterfly thing.
Correct.
What's wrong?
Okay, so before we get into all that, a whole bunch of other people online, a bunch of other reviewers and whatnot, we've all been speculating what in the world, because Doctor Who has never had those hard, fast time travel rules. Mm-hmm. He's always more or less been like, hey, what about a paradox? The timelines, by and large, repair themselves. The only thing that's static are fixed points. That's it.
Right.
So that's the only rule. So all of a sudden, I was like, and me and a bunch of other reviewers online were all like, oh my gosh, are they going to start introducing these weird newfangled rules? Mm-hmm. They didn't. It was literally it was a gag. It was a bit. She steps on a butterfly, becomes some kind of weird insectoid creature.
I believe it was. She became the voice of that butterfly.
Right.
Because she laid so many million eggs.
Right. Something crazy hatched.
Yeah.
And so what does he do? He picks up the butterfly, trying to more or less ignore her. And I think he breathed life into it, like he kind of, and it came back to life, and she was normal. So a bit, and then he goes into the TARDIS and turns on the anti-butterfly whatever, which I'm almost going to take as a throwaway, not as canonically that there's a switch that basically says, hey, don't screw up time. So I kind of feel like it's Russell just having fun.
Sure.
Because we got to see dinosaurs out the gate because she wants to go to the past, and then she decides to go to the future, and that's where the fun begins.
I really like the fact that he came out swinging with telling her what he was and who he was.
Right?
They died. It was a genocide and they died. So the one that was adopted was the only one left. I am the last of the Time Lord, and I am so glad to be alive.
We get his. What did you say to me?
I said he's setting up for a new generation of Dr. Whovians.
The new writer, the new showrunner, old showrunner. And because it's on Disney Plus, which is where we watched it this time, it's for a brand new audience.
It is.
And Disney is really leveraging the fact that there is a whole new audience. This feels like, I'm going to use a phrase that people use in a bad way as a pejorative, but I'm going to use it positively. This feels like a new Who. Not a bad way. But I know it felt
new, different.
It felt shinier. It felt glossier. You definitely see the Disney money, and
they can pay for the money.
I'm all for.
Next episode.
They have music. We'll talk about the next episode. They have music bites and everything now. It's really good. So they go into the future, and their first, which I love the fact that it almost mirrors Russell's very first outing with Billy Piper, when she first introduced Christopher Eccleston, which is they go to a space station, and then later on, that's what the Doctor did again. So I like the symmetry. Some people would be like, he's going to his old bag of tricks, but I actually liked that.
Mm-hmm.
This felt like home. I felt like I had not dropped or lost a beat. I loved the Russell T Davies era. It went into the Moffat era. There are some people have issues with Moffat. I loved his whole era, his run. Mm-hmm. I really didn't have any issues until Chibnall. So then to come back to this, I was super excited. I'm like, oh my gosh.
No, I didn't even think about that episode with Eccleston until you just mentioned it.
Yeah.
I totally didn't even think about that.
You can go to watch that review. I'll put a little title card up at the top there. You can go see our reviews we did like 4 or 5 of the first season. And then I had to move and life happened and whatnot. This was so much fun. Space babies.
It seems horrible when they first show it.
So, first off, I will say this. There's no way, unless you go 100% CGI, to make a baby look realistic. The babies look atrocious. But you know what? That kind of leaned in for me because I believe they used real life babies. But they had to
CGI because these babies, some of them look terrified. And there's that one scene where they're all crying, and I told them, I said, you know what they did? They took each baby as they're trying to set them up, and they're filming that, and then we're just going to drop it in here and drop it in here.
Yeah, it's rough.
Because babies are fussy.
But the minute like I said before, it's shiny. You can see the money. The truth is, though, Doctor Who has always been at its best, I believe, when it's got a little bit of camp. When it's just a little bit cheesy, and you're kind of going, really? Mm-hmm. And the minute I said, really, to the baby mouse, part of me went, oh, this is Doctor Who. Okay.
It's almost expected.
Yeah. So give me something that doesn't quite look so glossy. There are these babies that are talking. They're on a breeding ship. It's a ship that literally grows like a baby farm ship. And for whatever reason, you never really find out why. The crew abandoned ship. And I think, although you did find out why, they ran out of money. The government ran out of money.
So
the law wouldn't allow them to just terminate everything going
on the station.
Yeah, which I felt like was kind of a meta commentary on the future of how that whole
all the
Earth and things like that, and how they passed laws to protect the kids and the thing, even though the money wasn't there to pay for it.
It wasn't there to pay for. Yeah,
I feel like there's definitely a commentary at work, even if subtle. And then you find out that they're being chased by what they call the Bogeyman, or the Boogeyman, as we say here in the United States. And so it's this monster who looks kind of slimy. And later on, you find out
it's literally.
So it's a really weird leap in logic. The education system on the ship, the Papyri system, as the babies were being born, it ran out of material for something and ended up creating, because all children need stories. Once it was done with the education, all kids need stories. And every kid needs a monster under the bed as part of their development, part of growing up. So
hero.
It created Baby Eric.
Baby Eric.
Oh, adorable. No, I will say this: seeing the Doctor and Millie, or what do I call her, Millie? Ruby. The Doctor and his reactions to everything was really awesome.
I liked their chemistry. We got to see a lot more of it.
So a lot of people there's so many people out there who want to try to classify the Doctor as he's the gay whatever Doctor. I feel like I don't feel any of that. I feel like he's someone who has just been freed himself of a lot of his baggage. And the baggage would be whatever the David Tennant stuff was that went with it.
Right.
And so now he seems very open with the idea that he's by himself. Russell Davies has said he's not shying away from the stuff having to do with the timeless child, but what he's going to do, and I believe firmly what he's going to do, is he's going to lean more into using what did that do?
Okay.
So when he first rebooted the series, first thing he did out the gate, major change, Time Lords are dead. No more Time Lords. What does that do to someone like the Doctor? Right. How does he have to deal with it? It gave him pathos, and it gave him something he had to actually now deal with. And every exchange was now tainted by that knowledge and that new characteristic that never existed before.
Right.
So what does Russell do? Thanks, Chip. He literally goes, I'm going to take that and go over here. And now he's like, now there's pathos. Now, how does the Doctor deal with the fact that he's the last of the Time Lords, but he wasn't even a Time Lord. He's where everything comes from, and he doesn't even know what that means. So what is he doing? Not even addressing it. And I'm down. I really like when they go into but the babies were wonderful.
They got some really cute looking babies, and they all had these roles.
They did. The little captain, he called her Puppet, but like the captain baby.
Yeah.
Like, rock on, man.
I'm Captain Puppy, and I kept the station running for Mummy and Daddy because we knew you'd come back for us one day. We took over. We were very brave.
I wonder how they got him so, like, did they feed intelligence into their heads?
We never understand how these babies are 6 years old.
Right. How they happened. You know, but yeah, man, it's, and then we met the nanny. She's right over there. That's the real life version. All you need is a voice. But then the Doctor, she's like, please come to pod, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, what? And she's like, turn to pod, whatever. He's like, oh, got it. I can tell he knew in that moment. He was like, oh, right.
Access portal 357.
What is it?
Access portal 357.
It is just a storage unit. What would I need to go there for?
Oh, for God's sakes. 357, come on.
Where do you think you're going?
Portal 357.
And he goes and they find her, only to find out she's the accountant, but she didn't want to leave the kids. And that touches the Doctor in a certain way, in a certain kind of way. I don't want to spoil too much because you need to watch the episode. You haven't seen the episode yet. It's this whole rigmarole, complicated mess about the accountant lady wants to save the children, protect the children, and
there's a planet that they can have refuge on, but they literally have to wash up on a shore.
For real, that's the only rule. They'll take anybody in, but you got to get there. It's basically Cuba. So what does she do? She wants to save the kids, get rid of the bogeyman. It hits the Doctor differently this time.
Yeah.
Because he's the literal last. He's the last of his kind. There's no other connection to anything else. This thing is the last of his kind. He feels mercy. And even Ruby understands it.
Yeah.
And Ruby runs up there and she's real. I love immediately she gets it.
Yep.
She's honestly, she's going to go down, in my opinion, as one of the better companions. I can already tell, at least until we find there's a bigger reveal, which we'll talk about next episode. And so, yeah, it's a very interesting, they mesh so well.
You'll notice there's a lot of tie back to when she was left Christmas Day. Yeah. Snowflakes and babies again. And so, and he's starting to kind of like piece these together. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested to see. I can't wait to connect the dots on that.
Fair. Absolutely. I'm with you. I feel like the more that the more that they begin to peel back those layers, so back in the day, people call it the question box. They're like, what is this thing? J.J. Abrams kind of coined it with like Alias, another thing, and Lost.
Got it. Yeah.
How many can you ask the questions? And Russell Davies was known for doing that kind of thing back in the day. And so there's question if he's going to, what does he learn? Right. Because he moved on and did other shows, really high profile shows, and he's evolved as a writer. So I'm kind of hoping to start seeing more of that level of writing. And I kind of feel like we are. But I also feel like what we're seeing in terms of the way he likes to handle, which is being able to, he loves, because the Doctor is really at his best when he's solving problems and trying to figure things out. And I feel like the times he felt bland was when he was dealing with like political intrigue on Gallifrey and other silly things that were, but when he encounters something new and he's like, whoa, something is new. That's when he really starts to shine, and I think that's awesome. So I love that whole aspect of the thing. So then they finally manage to save everyone, and the Doctor. It was probably the most crass joke I've seen done expertly. By the way, the ship has to fart.
I'm gonna let it rip.
I have to let one rip.
Because apparently all the different gases and all the stuff that they've been for 6 years is built up.
Yep.
And so the thing basically expels this giant gas thing that propels the ship forward and is able to ultimately take them where they're going. Mind you, he does have a TARDIS that actually once brought an entire planet home to Earth.
This was way much more fun.
It was kind of more fun. Not for us. I did love, we got to see some new things. The very first time they step out of the ship, and Ruby's like, oh, look, it's in English at this computer screen thing. He's like, oh, no, that's the TARDIS. He explains things in a really good way. And then he does this cool hand motion, and you see it in his actual language. And I was like, oh, that's new. Mm-hmm. He revealed stuff. And I thought it was very cool.
I like how you had pointed this out, is most doctors up until now have been like that confrontational investigative type. But he felt fear.
Yeah.
Because he didn't realize.
Well, and they say that there was the creature issues this at a fear decibel thing.
Yeah.
But even then, I believe firmly still, that's a new, I think that level of self-awareness is a new trait for him. And I think it's so cool when writers and creators take an opportunity to have the new regeneration be that is
something new,
right?
Yeah.
And have him encounter like what they did with Matt Smith when Matt Smith first tried. He's like, I need to eat something.
Right, you were talking taste buds, yeah.
And he finally settles on fish fingers and custard. You know, and it's because he's like, hey, but whatever, that's what tastes good in this mouth. We'll go. And I thought that was so cool. So similarly, he's like, why was I scared? Like what was, and I do believe it had to do with the frequency, but I also feel like that's a new thing because in the next episode, he does something similar. And we'll talk about that when we talk about that episode. But is there anything else about this episode that you think is worth kind of looking into at the moment? I know that I'm
like looking around.
I'm just excited. I'm just excited. I'm really excited for this.
I am. I think I'm going to like this.
Yeah.
I like it.
Me too. And I think give it a shot if you haven't seen it. Take a look. I'd love to hear more about your thoughts. But there you go. Now you know. And if knowing stops the battle, you're happy to know yourself. What's in all index for this episode? You go first. You bring it back.
It's been a minute, right?
Yes.
I would have to say a solid 8.
Okay.
And I'm saying that because I'm nervous.
Sure.
Just nervous. You know, we always say 3 episodes. Well, had I known, like really the first episode.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah.
Okay. You know what? I think I'm going to agree with you on that. So for both of us, it's an 8. All right, guys, comment below. Tell me what you thought. If you want to get caught up with all the things that we have going on, here is my original video that I did where I talk about the first episode, The Church of Ruby Road. And if you really want to get back to it, there's the playlist for the whole thing, which is also going to have the 60th anniversary videos in that. All right, guys, I cannot wait to see you next time. Never forget,
everyone loves to know it all.